In this video, we'll look at how to create a synth part groove using the step sequencer. Let's start by clearing out this groove so we can begin from scratch. Open the menu and select Reset Groove. The next thing we need to do is load a synth sound. Click on Synth Part 1 to bring it into focus, and notice that selecting a synth part brought the synth editor into view. When Groove Machine resets a synth part, it defaults to a stack of 3 sine waves that sound like this. Actually, only the first oscillator is audible, the other 2 are set to a 0 mix. I want to focus on sequencing in this video, so let me show you a trick to speed things up. We're going to load up a synth part and then chop out the notes so that we can put in our own. Open the menu again and select Load Part. And let's use Funky Mutton, because it's a good sound and a great name. Right-click on the trigger buttons to open the sequencer window. Here you can see all the notes that make up Funky Mutton. And you can use the play button at the bottom to listen to it. See the piano roll along the left-hand side? You can click on these keys to hear the sound in focus. And up top is an area for various controllers. We'll get into that in just a moment. In the main area of the sequencer, you can see all 8 bars with the steps and notes inside them. Click and drag around all the notes to select them. Then click the Delete button. To create a note, simply click on the square that corresponds to the note you want. And to remove a note, just click it again. Let's add 2 bars of low D notes to make a bass line. Have a listen. Okay, click back to the main screen. Right now, the trigger buttons are showing you which steps have notes in them. It could have 1 note, it could have a whole chord. Click on the Edit button, or better yet, press the Control key to enter edit mode. Click on one of the steps that has data in it. Notice 2 things. First, the step number that you clicked into is now flashing. And second, the notes being played are glowing in steady orange. So the flashing light tells you what step you're on, and the steady lights tell you what notes are playing. Let me show you one more example of how edit mode works. Press the Control key to leave edit mode for a moment. Then right-click to call up our sequencer window. Let's delete all of our notes again. This time, let's put a low D in on every step of the first bar. Now let's add 2 more notes to the last step. Let's add an F and an A, which means that step 16 is now a D minor chord. Okay, back to the main panel. See how all the buttons are now orange? It's because there's data in every step. Turn on edit mode again. Let's look at what's happening in step 16. Now you can see the buttons glowing for all the notes in our D minor chord. There's one last thing with this. Cycle edit mode off and back on, and let's click back into step 9. Button 3 is steady, showing us a D note is playing, and button 9 is flashing to remind us what step we're on. And by the way, if you want to add more notes to this step, just click on the corresponding buttons. Let's add a high D and a high E. But what if I wanted to add a G sharp? That's the same button that's flashing to remind us we're in step 9. If I click on it, you'll notice that the flashing becomes a little more subdued, so that you can tell there's note data there, and we're still on step 9. Okay, back to the sequencer window. Sure enough, you can see our high notes and our very out of place G sharp. So let's click on that G sharp to remove it. Up top, you can see that Groove Machine automatically placed a control column over every note. Now all you have to do is click and drag the green bar to adjust that parameter. To call up a different controller, right-click on it in the main window. Now you can click and drag across the control columns to change their values. Take a listen. If you want to create a few more bars, click on the box labeled Bar 1, then click Copy. Now click into the empty bars and select Paste. You can control your note's duration with the Note Length control on the main panel. As I change the Note Length control, the duration value changes in the sequencer. Finally, try loading up some of the factory grooves, then opening the sequencer window. This is a great way to learn how the different rhythms were put together. For more great software, visit the ImageLine online shop. And for more great tutorials, visit StreamWorksAudio.com.